Welcome to another Emii Creations Artist Alley vlog, and we'll be going over Sac Anime Winter of 2023, which happened from January 6th to the 8th. So I'm updating my keychain display. I have these beautiful white boards, and they're kind of like cork boards, but made of a very condensed foam. And they hold like nails and stuff really well, better than I expected. So these all stay on with eye hole screws, and I'm getting the lanyards on this one soon. So I just finished my display. These are the cubies that we use for my 10 by 10s, and this will be going on the table, but I made these panel thingies that are the same size as the cubes, and they Velcro on and off of the cube, so I can basically put this down into a suitcase. So this one Velcros into. Yay! Easy to put on and on, relatively easy. And I figured that'll be a fast setup for my table display, which you will see later on. So I'm all packed and ready to go, and I did get a new rolly backpack because I walk around to the con from the hotel a lot sometimes, so hopefully that'll come in handy. We'll see. Good morning. We're heading to Sac Anime. My husband's driving me today because it's not that far from our house, and then we'll probably be at Sac Anime around noon and set up hopefully by 3. Hey fam, it was raining a whole lot, but we made it, and here's my booth, and here's kind of like the Artist Alley vendor hall. While I'm setting up, let's talk about how to get in, how much it is, and a little more details about the con itself. Sac Anime Winter happens at the Safe Credit Union Convention Center in Sacramento. This eventually actually happens in spring as well, but the spring one is smaller and located in Robellin Center in Roseville. I'm in the Artist Alley, and they accept applications around 4 months before the show in a lottery-style selection process. So they give all the artists maybe a few days to sign up and then draw winners at random. This year's booth cost was $200, which is not too bad. When I set up the Thursday before the event, I won't pull out the sock sticker cards yet. I do that the day of on Friday. So once all the display items are up, I head to the Airbnb. In terms of hotel versus Airbnb, I noticed you tend to get more out of Airbnbs, like kitchens, work table areas, and more bedroom options, which is why most times I'll prefer Airbnbs. However, a lot of times the convention will have a partnered hotel that is closer and cheaper, mostly if you're sharing. The downside is it will get full fast, and sometimes the Artist Alley selection may not happen before the hotel block openings. Or you may want more room, bed, bathroom options that traditional hotels won't necessarily have. So some stuff to keep in mind. Friday, first day of the event. Usually, if they let us, I tend to like going through the back or the loading docks to avoid security and crowds. They definitely don't always let you do that for events. This was specific for Sac Anime. Let's talk about load-in while we're here. They usually have very specific instructions on how they want you to load in, and sometimes non-car goers, if you have suitcases like you're flying in or something, they want you to go from the front. Sac Anime specifically wanted everybody to go in from the loading docks, so I got my Uber driver to just drop me off in the back Thursday. And I did notice that Friday morning load-in seemed a little less busy than Thursday for car users. But both days were pretty well organized and people didn't seem to have to wait crazy long to get their stuff in, which is definitely not always the case and a good sign. I came in a little early, so I walked around for a bit, and let me give you some details about how this anime was set up. The room is essentially divided into two. One side is the artist alley and the other side is the vendors. So the artist alley is on the left in this clip. There seemed to be two or multiple entry points, which was interesting to me, but I think the main entry point might be in front of the vendors. I honestly did not walk around enough to get a good flow of how people entered, but there seemed to be a good flow of traffic throughout the whole hall, which was kind of cool to see. There was one odd part, and that was that the artist alley spaces were white lined off this year. They did spread the tables out a little more to allow the artists to add tables, display, and just have more room in general, as long as it stayed within the white lines blocked off. This is actually not very normal in my opinion. I tend to see spaces smaller for artist alley, and they're not allowed to add other tables and other things, and sometimes they have restrictions of even adding things on the floor behind your booth. So this is definitely a plus, and I do like how they set this up specifically, and they did reinforce or enforce the white lines really well. They did go around looking to make sure all of everybody's stuff was within their booth space, which I really like because I have had intrusive neighbors in the past, so it's nice to have a clear ownership of your own space. And here's the final result of my booth. I kind of forgot to film an actual go over the booth, so like the main clip of the booth is on the right in this clip, so you get a little look at the whole thing. Other thing I did notice that TwitchCon and NekoCon also did is they put the voice actor like line up and booth in the same vendor hall, and I feel like that drove a lot more traffic through the room and is a really nice addition to have in the vendor space. It's Saturday, the money-making day, and hopefully the busiest day of this weekend. But I know what you're all really here for, the tea. Is it worth it? Did I do well? Do I recommend? And am I coming back? TLDR, I did not do as well as I hoped, and I heard the same from a lot of other artists. So I do think inflation, the threat of inflation, the rising cost of things like housing, gas, food, did contribute to this less than expected numbers. But on the upside, I did still make money, and I was actually pretty impressed with the attendance at this event. I heard they had a record attendance mostly for Saturday. However, it just didn't seem to translate to income. And it's really easy to think, oh my god, it's me, it's my art, people don't want to buy from me. And I'm sure there's people who did really well or did better than expected, but I still do think the state of the economy is a huge contributing factor and something to keep an eye out for. Therefore, my final consensus is that I would not travel insanely far for this event. If your flight's around $500 or more, it may not be worth it for you, honestly. But if your travel costs are $200 or less and you can share lodging, then definitely maybe you can try it. I personally would not do the vendor side because the cost is so much higher. The space location is a little weird. You might not get a good one. And since you now have more space in Artist Alley, that, in my opinion, is a better value. But since it is lottery, you may not get in. So my opinion is just roll a dice, enjoy if you do get in, mostly if you don't have other high value events during this particular weekend. And keep in mind, this assessment is only for their winter event. So spring, I heard, is a little different, and I am not going to the spring one, so I cannot give you specific feedback for that event. But will I be back to Sac Anime Winter? So I am taking my own advice. I am still planning on applying for the winter event, and if I get in through the lottery system and I have no other high value shows, then I will be back. So another big factor in me wanting to come back is that there is high potential in this event. The attendee level is really high, and I can't imagine sales being better if the economy was more stable. So I do want to come back because of that. My reservation is that this is not my first Sac anime, and they've hit below my expectations before when I came. And so, although I am optimistic, I do still have reservations about this show, which may be reflected in the advice I give in this video. So take that with a grain of salt. Hope this kind of insight helped you, and if you have any more questions, you can always leave it in the comments below. I also did manage to have my roommate's husband walk around and film for me. So if you're curious of how the attendance looked, how many people were walking around, then here's clips on that. So definitely keep in mind that strangely, there was a storm going on during this time, yet people still came out. I'm so proud of everybody. So attendance was oddly not affected by the storm, which was awesome. Everybody was a little scared by that, and I know there was a lot of cancellations because of that. But enjoy this clip of the mob of people that were at this event, which was kind of an awesome sight to see. Per usual, I don't really film on Sundays, but I did want to introduce you to my roommate, friend, and fellow vendor, Ollie. I'll leave a link to all her amazing stuff in the description. And Sunday was actually a little better than Friday, despite the large attendance for me, which was awesome. But I did have to jet out early since they last minute moved my flight up by an hour. But you know what? It happens. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, interesting, and informative. If you have any questions, be sure to make sure to comment it below. If you love our vlogs and want to follow my art and Artist Alley journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the alert bell. Until next time.